Hello, Apollo Baptist Church. This is Pastor Gary on Thursday, April 30th, 2020, giving you our first update on our Who's Your One series. So this is our evangelism display, and we've got our first few reports online on what people are doing to be on mission for Christ, even during a pandemic when we can't be around people physically. So the first thing I'm going to put in here, first is our blue ping pong balls that I'm going to put in here. It's actually a category that's not up here. It's the ones, our ones, these blue ping pong balls, people who have reported who their one is. That is one person they are praying for, that they are just submitting before God to have Him save them, people who are far from God, people who aren't really going to church or whatever, people who are not even sure about their spiritual state, just being on mission to go and pursue, people that we're praying for and trying to invite to spiritual activity, whether that means a Bible reading plan or a sermon, discussing a sermon, or just having a spiritual conversation, people you are inviting to have that kind of interaction with you. They don't even have to say yes or no, but you just are people that you're trying to find God. So these are the people so far who have told us this. We have a number of people that have been reporting their ones. We have 12 people who have reported ones so far. 12. That's a wonderful number. That's a great number. And it gives us a good idea of who is participating in the reporting so far. That doesn't mean that every connection or conversation or conversion you have is your one. It could be somebody else. But these are at least just one person that we are pursuing. The next category I'm going to tell you about is we have 16 connections this week. Over the past several days, we've had 16 invites to people to either watch a sermon, do a Bible study, or whatnot, just inviting to some kind of spiritual activity. So I'm going to put these white ping pong balls in here, 16 of them. Over the course of time, Lord willing, this whole thing will fill. So here we are getting our connections in. Again, if you're watching this on our website, right to my left, you can click this little button here to report your gospel interaction. And the next week, it will be in here as a ball. The next thing we're going to talk about is conversation. So these are actually people who responded to our invitation, our connection to watch a sermon, to have a spiritual conversation, and actually had the spiritual conversation with you. So it's a different report. We have 8 spiritual conversations this week over the course of the last few days, and the most exciting one, because it's our first time, we're actually reporting a conversion from a month ago, but it all counts, because this year we are praying that we have 30 conversions, 30 people give their life to Christ, and we have 2. Giovanni gave his life to Christ in my living room, and one of our deacons, Butch, led this guy to Christ just a few days ago, who came in our food box ministry. Imagine that. I mean, from receiving a food box to receiving a Savior. There's a really cool vlog post about that if you want to check that out at the bottom. But there we go. Our first amount of gospel interactions. You may not be able to see these balls. They might be just below the camera line, so you might need to report some more so they get above the camera. But I'm not changing it. You guys got to get the balls up here. But here we are. So far, 16 connections, 8 conversations, 2 conversions so far. I hope we can all be on mission together. I was just on the phone with one of our church members yesterday who was like, Pastor, we can't wait. We can't wait for this pandemic to be over. God is calling us to be on mission for Him. We cannot wait to do what God has called us to do. If the time is now, as long as it is called today, let's be on mission for Him and in prayer that He will use us in any way He sees fit. I'll get back to you next week. I'm excited. Be on mission this week and enjoy the sermon this week is from Pastor Jim. I'm actually not preaching. Our care pastor is going to bring the message this week. Enjoy it. I know it's going to be a blessing to you. I know that God is going to edify our church during this time. I'll see you next week.